take you to what should be a headache to the APC, the ruling party. It does look like, they are in firm control of several states of the Federation, controlling them politically speaking. The party is also at the top of things at the federal level. But what about the real people of Nigeria? Are they in control? What are the hopes of the APC, with some of the assurances that members and leaders of APC are having that is a coast clear for them in 2027, and it's going to be an easy ride for President Bola Tinubu to get a re-election and the APC to hold firm the political leadership in this country. Well, tonight, the Nigerian political and economic debates take center stage, and our conversation as concerns are now growing over the state of the nation under President Bola Tinubu. Rising cost of living and the government's decision to hire foreign lobbies in the United States. At the same time, shifting alliances and recent defections are reshaping the opposition ahead of the 2027 election. Tonight, I'm being joined by the spokesperson of Nigeria's major opposition now, the African Democratic Congress spokesperson, Mr. Bolaji Abdullah, is live for us in our studio. Thank you so much, Malam Abdullah, for joining us tonight.
Thank you very much.
It's good to see you.
Happy New Year.
Same to you. It's good to see you. What a year! What a year it's been, 2025. It saw the alliances and some heavyweights coming together under the umbrella of the ADC, and it's seen someone like you who's been a former minister and who is a former governorship aspirant in your state coming to now speaking for the ruling, for the major opposition party now. I'm saying major opposition party now because suddenly the ADC seems to be a party to look out for. The PDP is falling apart. The Labour Party seems to not to find its feet, but the ADC seems to have had all of the major players from all of the opposition parties come under one umbrella. But in all of this, we've seen Dele Momodu also, interestingly, from Benin City, declared his, and you saw, interestingly, perhaps the first national chairman of the APC, Chief John Odege Yegon, receiving Dele Momodu in the ADC, into the ADC. Interesting times indeed. But how do you summarize the year 2025? I'm looking forward to 2026.
Well, thank you very much. 2025 was a very good year for us. It was a foundational year, as it were. When we started in July last year, in July of 2025, not many people thought we could go far. The ruling party itself dismissed us. They said, oh, these are just aggrieved people, and the coalition will collapse even before it had the chance to take off. And look at all the big men in their ranks. They're going to start fighting over who gets what. But 7 months after, in 2026, here we are, getting stronger than before. Look, I'm very confident that if you gather political scientists to study the trajectory of political party development, they will probably tell you that ADC has been one of the fastest growth in Nigerian political history. And the reason is not far-fetched. You mentioned all those different people joining our party and all. The reason is very clear. It is clear to everyone today there is only one option. The possibility of Nigerians having to continue with what the current APC government is doing under President Bola Tinubu is too scary to contemplate in terms of what has happened to the lives and livelihood of Nigerians, in terms of what has happened to the image and reputation of this country, in terms of what has happened to the status of Nigeria as a leader of the black race the world over. Every Nigerian today who knows what Nigeria should be, what Nigeria used to represent in the past, and where we are today, we don't want what is going on to continue. So all these people you see joining our parties, these big wigs and political heavyweights, are also telling themselves that what is at stake is bigger than my individual ambition.
And this is not all about grabbing power.
No.
Because, there are those who think that this intent is solely to get Tinubu out of power. That is the agenda and not about the interest of Nigeria.
No, of course we want to get Tinubu out of power. That's the only way we can get to do. No, not desperately. Because it's only by getting him out of power that can take our country back. There is no scenario where he remains in power and we are able to save this country.
Is the country stolen?
It's more or less it has been hijacked. You see some of the behavior of the people in government, and when people say you can smash it and grab it and run with it, that is the language of banditry. A government that can forge a duly passed law, what do you call that? You see, some things have happened in recent times that is unprecedented in the history of Nigeria. This is the first time we hear that the National Assembly will pass a law, then some people in government will sit and forge it and actually try to pass it off as the duly approved law. This is the first time that we're hearing that a government of Nigeria will pay $9 million.
Is it 6 million or 9 million now?
It's 9 million. It was, I read the agreement, I saw the document. If you go to the FARA website, you'll see it there. $9 million. $9 million for lobbyists to make them look good before Donald Trump.
Is it a bad thing to lobby?
It's not a bad thing to lobby. But what they are doing, number one, I don't even want to go to the issue of all the processes. How did they award this contract? How was the money paid? Who paid this money? What budget line is it? How was the money transferred out of Nigeria? We are not even going into that. But when you are paying $9 million, if you invest $9 million on your internal security matters, you will see results. And you don't have to convince the president of another country that your country is safe. You are paying $9 million to a public relations group in the US, a company in the US, to make you look good, to tell Americans and the American president that, as a matter of fact, what you think about us is not who we are. So, and that is all they care about. They don't care about whether Nigerians are still dying. They don't care about why people are still being killed. They just want to look good before Americans. Okay, I woke up this morning. What did I see? Around 19th December, this government signed an MOU, a medical MOU, with the United States, this same United States. When I read the details, it is shocking to say the least. You go and look at it. That even though Nigeria is paying more, the Americans dictated the term. They decided, in fact, they decided how the money will be spent and what section of the country they want the money to be spent on in our country, even though we are paying more. No Nigerians have seen the details of this MOU. Now, that aside, I'm sure wherever you went on holiday, I'm sure you knew when President Trump went to grab the Venezuelan president. Nigeria, historically, were a non-aligned nation. That's what we call ourselves. But Nigeria, up to now, has said nothing. How did we get here? What did our president do that he no longer has a voice?
Is it not politically dangerous for Nigeria to have come out in that scenario?
What is the danger?
When Nigeria is being compared, Nigeria faced some kind of a threatening narrative from the Trump government, and those who are already comparing the Maduro government to the present government in terms of the treatment that the Trump could melt out because he has sent out different kind of threats.
So is that
I'm saying, is it diplomatically or politically?
I don't know. But what I'm asking is that, maybe it's not political, but is that the kind of president we want? A president that will not be able to speak for us, be able to chest out for Nigeria, a country of 250 million people.
A President Trump that can come and pick any president in the middle of the night and take them to jail in America.
So what we're saying, but Ghana spoke out. Ghana issued a statement to say, no, you can't do this. It's against international law. Other smaller countries, with due respect to Ghana, spoke out, took a position. How did we get to the point that Nigeria can no longer take a position? And I'll give you one instance. Historically, this is a leading country in the world. In 1962, when Nelson Mandela was arrested by the apartheid government in South Africa, they were going to execute him. The first judgment was death sentence. Nigeria, led by Jaja Wachuku, the foreign affairs minister, intervened, and they converted it to life imprisonment. How many other instances can we point out where Nigeria has directed the boycott of the Commonwealth Games? I can't remember what, I think it was Glasgow or so. How many times have Nigeria set agenda for the rest of the world? And we have people. So how did we get here? That Nigerian president can no longer take a position because our president is afraid.
The government seems to say Nigeria forced the agenda. That's what this government seems to have established in its diplomatic and its
Nigeria first agenda.
Foreign relationship.
No. Shall not be deceived. This is not Nigeria first agenda. What we are seeing, okay, I'll give you another example. You say Nigeria first agenda. Can you think of any instance in history where a president would declare a state of security emergency, which, by the way, is still subsisting, then jets off on holiday in another country? No, explain that. If it's Nigeria first. So, you see, we are going through a very terrible period that we have never... Nigeria is sinking.
Are you saying, or what are you inferring, really, that President Bola Tinubu's absence from the country, and he did explain the reasons why he's going to be out of the country, are you saying it is wrong of him to have traveled out of the country?
It's about priorities.
But he stayed
Don't
back.
forget, no, don't
he
forget.
cancelled about 2 or 3 appointments abroad because of security situation.
Some times ago they say he cancelled. No, you see, when they announced that the president was traveling, what did they tell? They say he was going on holiday in Europe, and that was suspicious. Going on holiday in Europe, which country is called Europe? Then a few days later, they posted this photo, so it shows like he's having breakfast with Paul Kagame in France. That itself generated its own controversy that the photograph was forged and all that. You know, that it was AI generated. Then we saw our president in Abu Dhabi attending the climate change thing. This is a country where you have declared a state of security emergency, that your citizens are still being killed, that you expect the president to do nothing 24 hours by dealing with this insecurity. No, you don't see that.
So you think that
President
Tinubu should sit put in Nigeria?
Absolutely, and I'm sure he will agree. Were he not the president today, I'm sure President Tinubu will agree with me. Because that's what I'm saying now is what he will have said.
If it's an ADC president, it should have been a president that will sit without traveling?
Absolutely, because this is where the...
What about the trade relationship and the deals that have been signed, some of the achievements that have been made in trade and investment, the direct, foreign direct investment that have been...
Which foreign direct investment have we... Okay, so let's leave that. So where are your ministers? What's the job of your ministers?
Could those deals
I saw my president received by a minister of state in Abu Dhabi. Nigerian president received by a minister of state. Come on, Shehu, don't you feel insulted? Don't you feel insulted? Our president should be here. Ministers should be doing those kind of jobs. 3 years after, we don't even have ambassador. They said they submitted some names sometimes ago, last year, that the National Assembly has cleared. Up till now, they have not posted a single one of them. And let me tell you, if they post them today, before they get their letter of credence, maybe end of 2026, before they resume formally and are able to function as ambassador, especially in first-class missions in the world, because the receiving countries will still have to vet them and agree that they are receiving them. Then before they issue them agreement and before they begin to function. All that has not happened. And this is why our president have to outsource diplomatic function and pay $9 million to a lobbyist, a lobbying firm, to do public relations for us. When Nigerians should be in the room talking for Nigeria, you have to hire people to do it.
How do you encapsulate or summarize your own assessment of the Tinubu-led government over the last 2 years or more?
There's too much incompetence in the government. I don't know why.
In the government or in the presidency?
In the government. No. I mean, the president is competent. I'm not saying he's not competent. Individually, if you see him, you know he knows what. So, but there's too much incompetence.
How can a competent leader lead an incompetent government? Is that not contradictory?
No. You have the impression that he's overwhelmed.
Really?
You have the impression that...
But this is a man who says, I asked for it, I fought for it, I got it, blame me for whatever has happened. The president says he's up to the task.
We are blaming him.
Well, how can the president be overwhelmed when he says, this is the job that I asked for and I'm the one, the buck stop on my table, on my desk. That's what the president has said over and over again. How can he be overwhelmed?
This president is very competent in one thing. He's a very competent politician. And everything you see him say reflects that. He's a very competent politician, no doubt about that.
What about being a competent leader?
I'm not sure of. Because we can only judge by the evidence. A leader is primarily an empathetic person. It's someone that wakes up in the morning and think about the people. How are they feeling? When you think that there are policies you need to pursue, you ask yourself, these policies that I'm pursuing, how is it going to affect the life of an ordinary citizen under me? When someone dies in your country, you feel personally responsible that you have failed that individual because your primary job is to protect that person. But we don't see that.
But how do you describe it?
We don't see that.
Is our cup half full or half empty?
I'm not even sure we have a cup. That's the point I'm making.
The government says, look, that we have had a disastrous run. And
they've agreed that they've had a disaster.
They don't know in the past. And they are coming on board to fix things, albeit a very difficult task of the revolutionary and reformist policy tendencies that they brought on board. And this is going to cause some immediate pains, which is going to be relieved after a time when these policies get into place. And you can see some very fantastic human beings like Wale Edun, the Minister of the Economy, you see, very erudite members of the cabinet that have a very strong profile, not only locally, but internationally, who are at the helm of affairs, people with integrity. But in all of this, the preaching that we've gotten from this government is that things might be tough, but it will get better. Are we being impatient with this government?
They have 4 years. They have 4 years. The Constitution of Nigeria provides for a 4-year tenure. There's nothing that guarantees that you will get another 4 years. What the Constitution provides for is a 4-year tenure. So whatever you are not able to do in 4 years, then you have not done. And that is why we have institutions to carry on wherever you stop. But what we are saying is that in 3 years out of 4, we have not seen anything that this administration has done that will give us confidence that the country is moving in the right direction.
I asked you that question, very much with a lot, with a lot of reasons why I asked the question, whether or not our cup is half empty or half full. And I'm very certain that you have embarked on house building projects. And you know the pains, and those who understand these know that when you are building the foundation, it takes a long, in fact, if you're spending and giving the builder money to construct the foundation, you'll be worried whether they're stealing your money, because it does look like nothing is showing up. But when you start building the blocks, it goes up on you get to the lintel. And when you get to the lintel, the work slows down again because you start building the concrete. And now, the question I'm asking is that, is it a facade that we're seeing, or the real foundation that this government said he wants to build? Because over the years, things have been messed up, and things are, without wanting to use a dirty language, that we're in a mess.
Sure. Maybe some of that $9 million should be paid to you, because you seem to be doing a good job.
No, because I speak to the both parties. I speak to opposition, and I speak to ruling party. Because we, as Nigerians, we need to, where things are good, we need to say where they are bad.
But you tell me one thing that they have done that is good. If President Bola Tinubu will be campaigning to Nigerians today, tell me one thing that they will say, oh, Nigerians, I have done this. This is a president that said, if after 2 years I don't give you electricity, don't vote for me.
So you think that this government is an absolute failure?
He said it. The president said it.
I'm saying that generally speaking, you think that the Tinubu government has been an absolute failure?
Nigerians have agreed that this government has failed. It is a consensus. And we in the opposition know that the responsibility that we have is to convince Nigerians that we can do better, that we have alternative ideas.
All right.
But the question of whether this administration has failed, that's a foregone conclusion.
That this government has failed?
Oh, it's a foregone conclusion.
Now, let's, because I'm wondering when you said this government has failed, and yet they now, you have more governors in their ranks, and they're controlling the majority of the state. And they're convincing people that this is the right party to be.
It's a gang up against the Nigerian people. You see, look, let me make... I keep saying this. The governors, by the president's own declaration, he has given more money to the governors than maybe any president has ever given to governors in our history. And how has that reflected in the improved livelihood of the people in the states? Because, I mean, in fairness to the president, we can't continue to say president, president, president. There are 36 individuals who lead the states as governors, as chief executive of the states. And I'm not saying all of them are bad. But what I'm saying is that they have received more money than they have received, more than any other generation of governors have received in the history of this country. You can say devaluation, you can say, but they say the money they saved from subsidy. The reason that we have more money going to the states is because they removed subsidy, and that money is now going to the states. In what way has that reflected in better life for the people in the states? So these governors know what they are doing. Most of them joining the ruling party are joining because of their vulnerability. Because they know that that's the only way they can be saved. Because in this party, APC said, no matter what you do, no matter what your crimes or sins are, join our party and your sins will be forgiven.
Let's take a break. Malam Abdullahi, you said that ADC has options and alternatives. We look at those options, whether Nigerians agree that these are real options or maybe they don't really have any options. We take a break, everyone. Malam Bolaji Abdullahi, the spokesperson of the ADC, is still with me, and there's so much more to talk about. The 2027 politics and what has become a growing pressure coming from the opposition party. Is the opposition pressure mounting on the ruling APC? And what are the options for Nigerians? Bolaji Abdullahi is still with me in the studio. We'll be right back after this break. Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us. Malam Bolaji Abdullahi is the spokesperson of the African Democratic Congress, the ADC. Thank you so much indeed for your time tonight.
Thank you very much.
You talk about the state of the nation and governance in this country. I like to say what is government because you've got to give them a benefit of the doubt. If you vote a government into power, you've got to allow them to do what they say they promised to do. The government says current economic pain is temporary and reform-driven. What do you say to Nigerians who feel the hardship is deepening with no clear relief in sight? And I asked that question earlier. Is it a sense of impatience, or people just feel that there are angels somewhere or saints that could, by a swing of a wand, and magically all of our problems and pains will disappear? Governance doesn't happen that way, does it? You've been in government before.
That's why I was looking at you, because what are they saying? What are they saying?
When you hear the government
it's not rocket science. It's not rocket science. They asked for this job. What do I tell you?
No, there's some of us who believe that governance is actually more than rocket science.
You see, it is not. I'm glad you said some of us have been in government before, and I have run some of the most complicated sectors in this country: education, sports. Those are some of the most mind-bending sectors you can operate in, and all that. So, but what I'm saying is that when this president campaigned in 2023, he never said to Nigerians, "I will remove fuel subsidy." Correct me if I'm wrong. Then he came on board. At the swearing-in venue, he said subsidy is gone. The first question you ask yourself, how much of preparation, how much of assessment, how much of information did the president have access to before he could say he could make that kind of declaration? Look, I'm a public policy manager, and I know that any policy that you have no alternative to, or any advisor that is telling you there is no alternative to a particular policy action, then you should fire him or her. So if somebody told this president, the only way to go is remove this subsidy at this time, the question I will be asking as president, okay, who does it affect? How do we mitigate the impact of that? Do we have sufficient time to do that? How long will it take before they begin to see the impact of the safety net that we are going to give? You see, these are the questions. But the president wanted to appear like, oh, I have to, some people have probably advised him, you have to hit the ground running and you have to take advantage of the honeymoon. Now, this is leading to a terrible marriage.
Some people have described this as audacity, and that those who
audacity. Sometimes there is no recklessness. There is no difference.
Just
between...
a moment.
Yeah.
You have worked in government that are politically mouthed removal of subsidy.
Yes.
Your very good political ally and good friend Bukola Saraki was the one who raised this matter and the controversy on the floor of the Senate. And we saw the devil in the details of fuel subsidy in this country, and almost all of the candidates said they were going to remove it, and those who say if Bola Tinubu had spent more days in power before making that decision, he would have never been able to achieve that.
I think you are confusing some issues. There is a question of whether subsidy itself needs to be removed. Hang on. There is a question of whether the administration of subsidy needed to be improved. Everyone will agree with you. There are two levels. One, are we spending too much money on subsidy, and why are we spending too much money? We have fiscal crisis, and we can bring some money from money we are paying on subsidy and cushion that to give ourselves some fiscal headroom. Then we can divert this money to other sectors of critical importance. Now, that's one argument for removal of subsidy. The second one is that there's too much corruption around it, and if we remove subsidy, we'll be able to kill that corruption. Now, which of the two have we solved? If the removal of subsidy that was supposed to give us the fiscal headroom that we need and give us more money to be able to direct it to other critical sectors have been done from day one, now where is the result? I was reading today that most Nigerians are dying today because they don't have access to diabetes drug. It has been priced out of the hands of the ordinary person. Amlodipine, the common drug used for blood pressure, most people cannot even afford it. I would want a situation where this president will be telling us that we have removed subsidy, and the money and the reason you are buying this drug at a cheaper rate, or the reason remove that subsidy from petrol or whatever and put it in subsidizing drugs, and use it in subsidizing food, and use it in subsidizing education. Then when you do that, then we can say, okay, maybe this is worth it. There are Nigerians who
what would ADC would have done differently if all others have mounted the same policy direction as this president?
No. You see, and I can tell you, I can invite you to one of our sessions. We are working on these programs now. And one thing I can tell you is that ADC is focused on one thing. How do we ease the burden on the people?
So the ADC is tilting to be a party left of the center in terms of its ideology, or what exactly does your ideology is going? Have you shaped what the ideology?
I don't like labeling. I don't like labeling because labeling doesn't always capture everything.
But that's what political parties.
But what we are saying is that our party, you don't have to give it a name. It's what you do. Okay,
you've got to belong in an ideology bowl.
Hang on a second. I'll give you an example. All Progressive Congress, APC, will tell you that they are a progressive party.
They said they were left of the center.
But have you seen...
PDP said they are right of the center.
Hang on, Sheung. They say they are left of the center. Progressive party. Have you seen any party that has been more conservative in its economic policies than this government that claim to be left of the center? All their policies is market-oriented. It's about market and revenue generation. They never think about the people.
So
they never think about what
they mounted is out of the window.
It doesn't exist.
So ADC wants to be a welfareist party.
For us, I think you are trying to pigeonhole me into an ideological box.
Because you are
maybe
you and I know you. I've known you for years.
Yeah.
Interestingly, we are from the same state. And knowing you means that I know how policy-wise, how sound you are.
Yeah.
And when I'm having a political science conversation with you, I know you understand what I mean. That you can't stand as an organization that is politically oriented and not have an ideological box in a bowl. You've got to be able to identify. You cannot be everything as a political organization.
No, you cannot be everything.
And you cannot come out as a government to say
the point I'm
we're going to be conservative and at the same time be welfare.
Exactly the point. And that's the point I'm making. That this labeling don't always work. They just put the label for marketing purpose. APC will tell you they are welfareists, they are left of the center, they are progressive, they have been the most progressive government in Nigerian history. There is no government in Nigerian history that has burdened the people more than they have done. Even Margaret Thatcher, go and read Margaret Thatcher's policies. She did not do as much as the APC government is doing. So what I'm saying is that African Democratic Congress is saying our priority, how do we ease the burden on the people? The suffering is too much. Any economic policy that is likely to compound the suffering of the people, ADC will not pursue it.
Let me ask you, Malam Abdullah, joining the people who are moving into the ADC, is it an ideological issue for them, just looking for alternative platforms other than the ruling party? Because some people don't agree with some of the folks in the APC.
No, you see, because
it doesn't look like your party has an ideology.
You see, and that's why I say I think
if anybody is going there, because the only reason why political party members come together is because of the ideology, because they believe in one thing.
I think you are overrating this ideological label.
Because it's important. Unfortunately, we've not gotten solid and we've failed in building political structures because there are no ideology. And that's why such a platform as this, we've got to ask our politicians, where are your ideologies? Because they get into office and they are lost because they never had any ideology in the first place.
What you call ideology is framing. There's nothing in my education or in my experience that tells me that we have to attach this label to this political party before they can stand for something. I'm ready to debate that. What I'm saying is that by what we promise to do, by what we actually do, you can define us. You can say, okay, this is what this party stands
for. But the Second Republic politicians and political parties,
okay,
in the Second Republic and the First Republic, you could know what the Sadanos of this world, the Awolowos of this world, what they stood for. They had priorities.
Now, did you call them left of the center, conservative, ultra right?
Everybody knew.
That's
what an Awolowo as a premier
we are saying,
and you could define it.
We are saying the same thing. You could define it. That's what I'm saying, that when we come out with our policies, we will tell you, I've just told you, that the people will be at the center of governance for ADC.
And you don't have a name for it. You don't have an ideological tag for it.
You can take that. You can say you are social welfareist, left of the center, whatever. You see, I've looked through Europe. I've seen different parties, right of the center, left of the center, middle of the center, whatever. And you could see that there are circumstances where you see a Democratic Party in the US doing something that is very, very conservative. You see a Republican Party, okay, you see now the Republican Party under President Donald Trump with his evangelical community. I mean, and you see some things they do, and you say, oh, hang on, this looks like a social democratic thing. That's why I said, for us, it is not about the label. It's about what we promise to do and what we are going to do and how we are going to do.
Because Nigerians, a lot of people now.
This labeling doesn't mean anything.
It is a gang of those who just wanted to grab power again.
Unfortunately,
without a unified concept of how
I've just told you that, and I've said it somewhere today. In the next couple of days, you'll see it. We are the first party. Now we have what we call the Orange Book that we're going to present. I'm saying it now. Right, the ethical and governance principles of the African Democratic Congress. It's the fourth time a political party is having something like that. right? You see, a lot of work is going on because we are clear that we have to be able to present a clear alternative and option.
Give me a moment, please. We need to go on another break. But when we come back, what are the options? If Bola Tinubu stands on the ballot in the APC, who will fly the flag of the ADC? What are the options that Nigerians should look forward to in the ADC? We'll be right back after this break, everyone, with Bolaji Abdullahi. Our closing moment with Malam Bolaji Abdullahi, the spokesperson of the ADC. When you say that ADC has options for Nigerians, that those who will say, are there better people that can, in terms of the ability to govern this country, better than Bola Tinubu? Who are these people that they are your first 11 that Nigerians will say can contend with the Bola Tinubu at the polls?
Well, we've seen President Bola Tinubu, so there's no debate. The jury has closed on that, right?
And what did they close on?
That this administration has failed. And what we are saying is that I see all kind of adverts that they are putting out saying they have done this, they're counting numbers. But what is clear is that they don't get to mark their own report, their own result sheets. Nigerians will mark it, and Nigerians have marked their script, and Nigerians have concluded that they have failed. Now, the question of alternatives. You see, the mistake we keep making, and I'm glad you referred earlier to the Second Republic parties. The mistake we keep looking for one person that we believe will solve this problem.
That's the concept of leadership.
No, yes, there's concept of leadership.
Private sector, public sector.
Look, you see, I don't want to.
You've got to have someone one person
who
will lead the pack, that will have the vision, carry the vision, and be able to lead the pack.
I don't want to go into this philosophical debate because we don't have the time. We can talk about agency and agents and all that. But what I'm saying is that fundamentally, there were times in this country when a political party, like you said, stood for something, and whoever contest election on the platform of those political parties know that they have to implement the program of the party. Like you said, you referred to the UPN in the Second Republic. You know that if you are voting for the UPN, you knew what you were voting for. And that is why it's the name of the political parties that is on the ballot. It is when we begin to discount the role of political parties in governance and begin to focus on the individual that will begin to get it wrong.
But we don't have the time. We just have 20 seconds today. Can you tell Nigerians the truth? And those who think that your party is just floating a lie to the Nigerian public, that this is not an Atiku machinery.
No, it's absolutely not. Every APC, every ADC member today knows that. It's only people looking from the outside that say this, right? Every ADC member knows today that our party does not belong to anybody. And that's why Peter Obi will come in. And that's why Rotimi Amechi is there.
So those who say that's why other people... The ticket is for Atiku
No, it is the ruling party spreading. You see, they're trying to second guess us, trying to gaslight us. And I tell them to mind their business. In social, that's what it's called voyeurism.
And
voyeurism, peeping into the neighbor's bedroom.
What is that? Who need that justify that?
You see, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. That's why I call it second guessing. If Atiku gets the ticket, he gets the ticket. It doesn't mean that, oh, they were right all along. If Atiku gets the ticket, he gets the ticket. If somebody else gets the ticket, he gets it. But what I'm saying is that where we stand today, this ADC does not belong to anybody.
We are not done yet, Malam Abdullah, but we are totally out of time. I wish you come back so that we can have the other part of the conversation. But thank you so much indeed, Malam Bolaji Abdullah, who is the spokesperson of the African Democratic Congress.